There is a silent law operating beneath every relationship you've ever had. It doesn't care about your intentions. It doesn't reward your effort. And it punishes sincerity with indifference. The law is this: the more you try, the less they want you. You weren't taught this, because teaching it would expose the lie you were raised on. The lie that love is earned through labor, that affection is a transaction, that if you just show them how much you care, they'll care back. They won't. And deep down, you already know this. Let me describe a pattern you'll recognize. You meet someone. There's tension, possibility. A window opens, and something in you panics. So you text first. You double text. You explain your feelings before they ask. You fill every silence with reassurance. You tell them you're not like the others. You show up early. Stay late. Make yourself available on command. And slowly, quietly, they begin to pull away. Not with hostility. Something worse, with disinterest. Their replies get shorter. Their warmth cools. And you, confused, do the only thing you know. You try harder. You explain more. You chase faster. And the gap between you widens with every step. What you don't understand is this: you're not losing them despite your effort. You're losing them because of it. This video will show you why, and more importantly, what to do instead. Let's begin with an uncomfortable truth. Effort, when visible, is not attractive. It is informative. It tells the other person something about your position, and what it tells them is this: you are beneath them. This is not cruelty. It is pattern recognition burned into the human nervous system over millennia. When someone chases, they signal hunger. When someone signals hunger, they reveal scarcity, and scarcity, in the unconscious grammar of attraction, means low value. Machiavelli understood this in the realm of courts and kings. He wrote that a man who begs for favor will never receive it, because the act of begging repositions him as someone unworthy of the very thing he desires. His need becomes his disqualification. The same law governs attraction. When you pursue openly, you announce that you are not yet chosen, that your affection is available, maybe to anyone, that you have not been selected by others. So you must select yourself and the person you're chasing, without thinking, without malice, demotes you in their mind, not because they're cruel, but because the body interprets pursuit as evidence of asymmetry. You want more than they do, which means you need more than they do, which means they have what you lack. And now the dynamic has a shape, hierarchy. The paradox becomes clear. By trying to create connection, you create distance. By reaching for closeness, you manufacture separation. Your effort does not draw them in. It gives them the power to stay away. This is the foundational inversion most people never grasp. They think attraction is built through demonstration, through proving value, professing loyalty, earning trust through repetition. But attraction doesn't work like employment. It works like gravity. And gravity does not chase. It pulls by standing still. Let's go deeper. What you're experiencing is not a modern phenomenon. It's not the result of dating apps, social media, or a generation raised on instant gratification. It is older than language. It is biology. 3 mechanisms are at play here. The first, scarcity bias. The human brain is not wired to value what is abundant. It is wired to prioritize what is rare, what is hard to access, what might disappear. This is a survival mechanism. In ancestral environments, resources were limited. Food, shelter, mates. Those who fixated on scarce, high-value opportunities survived. Those who ignored them didn't. Over thousands of generations, this became instinct. And it didn't disappear when we left the savannah. It just changed targets. Now it governs how we perceive people, Someone who is always available registers as low scarcity. The brain does not say this consciously, but it feels it. There's no tension, no uncertainty, no reason to prioritize, so it doesn't. The second mechanism, intermittent reinforcement. This is the most potent psychological principle in existence. It's what makes gambling addictive. It's what makes social media compulsive. And it's what makes unavailable people magnetically attractive. Here's how it works. When a reward is predictable, the brain adapts. It stops releasing dopamine in anticipation because there's no surprise. But when a reward is unpredictable, when it comes sometimes but not always, the brain enters a loop. It craves, it watches, it waits, and every time the reward appears, dopamine floods the system, stronger than it would if the reward were guaranteed. This is why someone who texts back inconsistently becomes more interesting than someone who replies in seconds. This is why mixed signals create obsession. Not because they're healthy, but because they hijack the brain's anticipation circuitry. And when you, the chaser, offer constant availability, constant reassurance, constant emotional access, you eliminate the variability. You become predictable. And predictability, in the brain's ancient math, equals low value. The third mechanism is nervous system imprinting. This is less discussed, but perhaps the most important. Every person you're attracted to carries an internal model of what desire feels like. This model was not chosen. It was installed early through attachment dynamics, through observation, through the emotional climate of childhood. For many, love was associated with uncertainty. Affection came intermittently. A parent was present, then absent, warm, then cold. And the nervous system learned this is what longing feels like. Now, as an adult, when someone offers consistent warmth without tension, the system doesn't recognize it. It doesn't feel like love. It feels like safety. And safety for a nervous system conditioned on unpredictability is boring. This is not rational. It is wiring. And when you chase, when you flood someone with certainty, you fail to activate the emotional signature their body associates with desire. You may be offering something healthy, but it doesn't feel like passion, so it gets rejected, not because of who you are, but because of what your behavior signals to a body that doesn't know how to want what's easy. Now, before we continue, I want to make something clear. The people who find this video are usually in one of two categories. The first group will watch, understand, and do nothing. They'll return to the same patterns, chase the same people, wonder why nothing changes. The second group, the small percentage, will treat this as an intervention. They'll subscribe, they'll study, they'll apply what they learn in silence. And months from now, they'll look back at this video as the moment something shifted. I don't know which group you're in, but the fact that you're still watching tells me you already know you're not here by accident. We've covered biology. Now let's talk about how the modern landscape amplifies the chasing instinct and accelerates its punishment. Three forces are at play. The first, over-availability. Technology has collapsed the barrier between impulse and action. You can now reach someone within seconds of thinking about them, and most people do. They text the moment they feel something. They check in when silence makes them anxious. They respond instantly because waiting feels like game playing. But what they don't realize is this: constant access doesn't build intimacy. It devalues presence. When you're always available, you become ambient. You exist in the background like a notification that can be swiped away. There's no cost to ignoring you, no weight to missing you. You've removed friction from the dynamic, and with it, significance. In older eras, distance was built into courtship. Letters took time, visits required effort. Attention had cost. That cost is what made attention valuable. Now you can deliver your affection in an instant, and it lands with the weight of nothing. The second force, emotional dumping. Modern dating culture has pathologized restraint. We've been told that vulnerability is strength, that openness is virtue, that you should share your feelings early and often. But this guidance ignores context. Vulnerability is not universally attractive. It is attractive when earned, when revealed strategically, when shared after trust has been established. What most people do instead is invert the sequence. They pour out insecurities before the other person has invested. They confess fears, traumas, and longings in the hope that honesty will forge connection. But the recipient doesn't experience this as intimacy. They experience it as weight, because now they're responsible for emotions they didn't ask to carry, and the unconscious response is retreat. Not out of cruelty, but out of preservation. No one wants to become a container for someone else's unresolved needs, especially not early, especially not before choosing to. The third force, fast investment. This is the chaser's signature mistake. They commit before commitment is reciprocated. They say, "I love you" first, and mean it. They plan futures before the first date ends. They give gifts, make sacrifices, rearrange schedules, all to prove sincerity. But investment is not persuasion. It is pressure. And when it arrives too early, it doesn't signal devotion. It signals desperation. Because a person with options doesn't overcommit before the other has met them halfway. A person with options waits. They observe. They let the other person reveal themselves before deciding. And when you don't do this, when you invest fast and loud, you communicate that you've already decided, that you don't need to evaluate, that you're just grateful to be there. This is not attractive. It is disqualifying. Let's now examine what chasing actually destroys, because it's not just attraction, it's something deeper. The first casualty, desire collapse. Desire is not a stable substance. It is a reaction to a gap, a space between what is wanted and what is had. When you close that gap too fast, when you remove all mystery, all uncertainty, all tension, you eliminate the conditions that desire requires to survive. This is why people lose interest in partners who are too into them. Not because the attention is unwelcome, but because it erases the game. And without the game, without something to wonder about, to wait for, to chase, desire has nothing to cling to. It dies of certainty. The second casualty, loss of polarity. In any attraction dynamic, there is a shape. One person leans forward. The other leans back. One pursues, the other receives. This polarity creates charge, it creates tension, and tension in matters of attraction is everything. When you chase excessively, you collapse this polarity. You lean so far forward that the other person can't lean back without falling. You flood the space with your energy and leave no room for theirs. The result is a flat dynamic. No tension, no spark, no movement, just pressure and the slow retreat of the person you wanted to magnetize. The third casualty, and the most damaging, silent disrespect. This is the one people don't talk about. When you chase, you don't just lose attraction, you lose respect. The other person may not say it. They may not even know it consciously. But something shifts in how they see you. They begin to treat your time as less valuable. They assume you'll always be there. They stop worrying about losing you because your behavior has made it clear. You're not going anywhere. And when someone stops fearing your absence, they stop valuing your presence. This is the silent cost. No one tells you they respect you less. They just act like it, and you feel it, without understanding where it came from. Now, what do you do instead? Let's be precise. This is not about becoming cold. It is not about playing games. It is about mastering timing and understanding the architecture of attention. The first principle, withdraw at peak connection. This is counterintuitive. Most people disengage when things go wrong. They pull back when there's conflict, when tension rises, when they feel slighted. This is the wrong moment. Withdrawal after conflict looks like punishment. It looks reactive, petty, emotional. The strategic move is the opposite. Withdraw when things are good. Leave when the conversation is flowing. Exit while they're laughing. Say goodnight before the energy dips. This is what imprints, not the marathon conversations, not the over-explained emotions, but the moment they wanted more and didn't get it. That gap is where attraction breathes. The second principle, let absence carve memory. You are not memorable because of what you said. You are memorable because of how they felt when you weren't there. Presence, when constant, becomes invisible. It's the withdrawal that reveals value. Think of it like music. The note only matters because of the silence around it. Without the pause, it's noise. Your presence is the same. If you want to be felt, you must sometimes disappear. Not in anger, not in manipulation, but in rhythm. You give, then you vanish. You connect, then you step back. And in that space, they begin to wonder, to replay, to want. Absence is not cruelty. It is architecture. The third principle, control your emotional broadcasts. Every time you express longing, you transfer power. Every time you confess how much they matter, you shift the leverage. This doesn't mean you become dishonest. It means you become selective. You don't narrate every feeling. You don't explain every silence. You let ambiguity do the work, because ambiguity is a canvas, and people project their own desires onto what they don't understand. When you're fully legible, when your feelings are obvious, announced, repeated, you become small, predictable, solved. But when you hold something back, when there's a part of you they can't quite reach, they move toward you, not away. Let's now contrast two figures. These are not personality types. They are postures, ways of occupying space in a relationship. The first, the chaser. The chaser believes that love is proven through pursuit. They measure their devotion by their effort. They think consistency is the currency of trust. But here's what they don't see. Their consistency isn't building trust. It's eliminating mystery. The chaser is always available, so their presence has no weight. The chaser always explains, so their silence has no power. The chaser always returns, so their absence has no meaning. They are felt, yes, but not wanted, because wanting requires space, and the chaser leaves none. The second, the anchor. The anchor does not chase. They are not passive. They are not absent. They are simply unmoved. They engage but do not flood. They connect but do not cling. They show interest but do not collapse into need. And because of this, they create a strange gravity. People move toward them without knowing why. People work to keep them without being asked. Because the anchor's presence is not assumed. It is not guaranteed. It is earned, moment by moment. And this uncertainty is what keeps desire alive. Here is the difference. The chaser gives in order to get. The anchor gives and then lets go. The chaser measures love by effort. The anchor measures love by effect. Ask yourself which one you've been, not in theory, in your last 3 connections, in the texts you sent last week, in the silences you couldn't sit with. If the answer is uncomfortable, good. Discomfort precedes change. If this is the first video of mine you've watched, understand what you've stumbled into. This is not a channel that tells you what you want to hear. This is a channel that shows you what you've been refusing to see. Many people will click away. They'll return to their patterns. chase the same people, complain about the same outcomes. But a few will stay, a few will subscribe, not because they're told to, but because they recognize that this is the information they've been circling for years without finding. You'll know by the end of this video which one you are. Let me leave you with a final principle, one that doesn't ask you to become cold, one that doesn't require games, but one that demands you understand something fundamental. Attraction grows in the space you leave behind, not in the words you say, not in the promises you make, not in the availability you offer, but in the gap, in the silence, in the room you create for someone to miss you. This is not manipulation, it is alignment with reality. You cannot manufacture desire in someone who feels no tension. You cannot be valued if you are never absent. You cannot be wanted if you are always there. The silent law is simple. What is always present is never precious, and what is never precious is eventually discarded. You don't need to become someone else. You need to stop erasing yourself in the hope that erasure will be rewarded. It won't. It never has. And now you know why. In the next video, I'll show you something most people will never accept. Why consistency? The thing you've been told is the foundation of trust is quietly killing the desire you're trying to protect. It's called the consistency paradox. And once you see it, you'll understand why the people who did everything right are often the ones left wondering what went wrong. I'll see you there.